Jesuit Georgetown University. All right, so that's connection number one to the elite priest class. Um, Essentially, Hirsch is exposing the people that he's in league with. This isn't a real expose. This is going to be the mainstream catching up with the alternative and trying to own that information and repackage it, basically, in their own way. And I'm sure there will be certain details that are ignored and neglected. And I'm not sure exactly what these details will be, but you can be certain that when you see somebody as mainstream as Seymour Hirsch talking about secret societies, the Knights of Malta, Opus Dei, connected to high-ranking members of the U.S. military. I mean, I my head still spins that I'm seeing that headline in mainstream news. That's that's unheard of up until this point. Now, getting back to the article, um, also aside from the Jesuit Georgetown University's connection there, he also says, according to Hirsch, it's how 8 or 9 neoconservative radicals, if you will, overthrew the American government. Well, the New World Order exists, Mr. Hirsch. This isn't just a neocon conspiracy. Let's not try to, play the left-right paradigm card here. No, that's garbage. Um, Basically, I mean, that's exactly. Let's think about this for a second. That's exactly what Alex Jones was doing with the CNP issue in the first place. He exposed the Bilderberg Group, which is, in all reality, more, even though it's Republicans and Democrats, it's quote unquote liberals and conservatives. It's looked at as being more left wing, the Bilderberg Group, and also the CFR for that matter, believe it or not. Although, like I said, comprised of both parties, those groups are looked at as being more left wing. Council for National Policy, on the other hand, is looked at as being more right wing. Absolutely. And the fact that you saw Alex Jones exposing the Bilderberg Group for years, covering up for the CNP, and now you see him conducting the damage control expose of the CNP with Charlotte Iserbyt, which we'll get into audio from that here in just a little bit. Um, that shows you that Jones is disingenuous and what is exactly going on here. I mean, the only reason that they're reporting this is because it's becoming known in the research community. There would be no reason that they would want this information touching the mainstream press. There's no way. So, I mean, this in my opinion can only be them. Hershey's gonna come up with his information, whatever. But granted, like a lot of it will be true, but it's going to be, it's going to be truth dipped in crap, is what it's going to be. So, just to warn you when it comes out, by all means read it, but by God, check the sources and don't believe everything you hear from it, because that is exactly what it will be. Is that it will be them trying to uh, resell the information and omit certain things. Basically, they're doing an Alex Jones job, is what they're doing. They're not going to talk about certain things. Alex Jones, he had Iserbyt on his show, and I think she did a real good job of presenting the information. But I mean, honestly, I don't trust Iserbyt either. She's connected, to all those people, and she says I don't like talking about these people. Well, you'll be able to hear that. Just go to youtube.com/Derek in the Midwest, and you can check out my latest videos with Alex Jones being exposed for coming up the Council for National Policy. There's actually cuts going back and forth with the interviews, which actually, like I said, we'll get into part of that audio from one of the parts of that little mini expose that I did of Alex and the CNP issue. So getting back to the article here, Hirsch also lamented President Obama's continuance of the Bush administration's worst abuses. Just when we needed an angry black man, we didn't get one, he reportedly said. Really? The Foreign Policy Report added that in 2003, those, quote, in the Cheney shop were not concerned about the havoc the invasion of Iraq was destined to cause. The attitude was, what's this? What are they all worried about? The politicians and the press, they're all worried about some looting. Hirsch was quoted as saying, "Don't they get it? We're going to change mosques into cathedrals. And when we get all the oil, nobody's going to give a damn." That's the attitude. We're going to change mosques into cathedrals. It's an attitude that pervades. I'm here to say a large percentage of the Joint Special Operations Command. He further claimed that General Stanley McChrystal, Vice Admiral William McRaven, and others in the JSOC were members of the Knights of Malta and Opus Dei, two little-known Catholic orders. They do see what they're doing, and this is not an atypical attitude among some military. It's a crusade, literally, Hirsch reported and reportedly continued. They see themselves as the protectors of the Christians, and they're protecting them from the Muslims as in the 13th century. And this is their function. He added that members of these societies have developed a secret set of insignias that represent, quote, the whole notion that this is a culture war, unquote, between religions. Wow. It was President George W. Bush who first invoked images of a holy war in the Middle East when he suggested soon after September 11, 2001 that the U.S. was on a, quote, crusade, unquote, in the region. The Knights of Malta were a Catholic order founded in 1085 as a group of monks who cared for the wounded. It evolved into a military order that safeguarded Christian pilgrims from Muslims during the 9 Crusades, where Europe's Christian states led siege to Muslims for control of Jerusalem. Opus Dei, popularly depicted in the holy film The Da Vinci Code, was founded in 1928 and officially accepted as part of the Catholic Church in 1947. The group's website claimed their principal calling was to bring about a Christian renewal around the world. Doubts, denials, and a distinctive trend. Raw Story reached out to Hirsch and the New Yorker to confirm the accuracy of his quotes, placing this report on hold until they responded. Both declined to make any further statement, neither confirming nor denying these quotes. However, one source close to Hirsch, who spoke to Raw Story off the record, suggested that Foreign Policy's report was indeed correct. Raw Story followed up on the quotes due to a widely reported false claim attributed to Hirsch in May 2009, where he'd allegedly said former Vice President Dick Cheney ordered the assassination of former Pakistani Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. The report, which appeared to have originated in Pakistan, was picked up by the Wall Street Journal and the conservative-leaning American Spectator, but both removed the links after Raw Story published a denial from Hirsch. A link to Raw Story's original report was unavailable due to a database malfunction. Hirsch, a Pulitzer Prize-winning author and reporter, has previously reported that the JSOC was set up by former Vice President Cheney as something of an executive assassination squad that operated outside of congressional authority. General Stanley McChrystal, who resigned after Rolling Stone reporter Michael Hastings quoted him mocking the U.S. civilian command, led JSOC before taking command of America's war effort in Afghanistan. In an email to the military Stars and Stripes publication, McChrystal's spokesman David Bolger panned Hirsch's claim. Quote, the allegations recently made by Seymour Hirsch relating to General McChrystal's involvement with an organization called the Knights of Malta are completely false and without basis in fact, unquote. He reportedly wrote, quote, General McChrystal is not and has never been a member of that organization, unquote. The religious indoctrination of U.S. soldiers has been in headlines in recent weeks as soldiers who failed the spiritual fitness portion of the comprehensive soldier fitness test claimed they were forced to attend Christian ceremonies and become born again by professing love for the Christian deity. Now, I'm going to read this again, because if this doesn't put it together for you, I don't know what to tell you. The religious indoctrination of U.S. soldiers has been in headlines in recent weeks as soldiers who failed the spiritual fitness portion of the comprehensive soldier fitness test claimed they were forced to attend Christian ceremonies, making them become, quote, born again by professing their love for the Christian deity. Similarly, GQ magazine uncovered last year a series of top-secret military briefings prepared by former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld that included passages from the Bible. Trigicon Incorporated, a defense contractor who was also discovered last January to have been for years placing scriptural references on gun sites used by the U.S. military in Iraq and Afghanistan. Their actions revealed Trigicon was forced to provide the Pentagon with kits to remove the codes. That is absurd. This is how far these people take it. Placing scriptural references on gun sites used by the U.S. military. That's disgusting. More death in the name of God. I don't know. Oh man, I have zero position on religion. All right, I have none, no position. I don't believe nor do I disbelieve in any particular religion at all. I believe in possibility, but I have to tell you that at times like this, I tend to think that there's more of a probability that every religion, including Christianity, sorry Christians, I'm not trying to anger you at all. I mean no disrespect. It's just my opinion on religion. Um, but when I see things like that, it does convince me more that all religion has been created by the elite priest class, and every bit of it is nonsense. Or at least, well, I shouldn't say every bit, but because I mean, obviously historically there's some truth to certain things and certain people, that did exist, whatever. But obviously, things being greatly exaggerated and some things, most likely absolutely false altogether, all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, that's the direction that I feel pushed in when I when I see stuff like this. But have you ever noticed anything like this? I certainly haven't. The Knights of Malta and Opus Dei being reported with connections to high-ranking members of U.S. military, or I should say high-ranking members of the U.S. military being part of the secret societies, the Knights of Malta and Opus Dei. The fact that this is, making mainstream headlines is, it could be used as a good thing, but, just don't rely on these sources for your information on these groups. Do your own research and look at everybody else's work as well. Is definitely my advice when it comes to that. Now, let's see. This next article, I believe, connects to this same topic in a way. Because what we have up next is Alex Jones and covering up the Council for National Policy. The Council for National Policy being the group I was referring to earlier that's more secretive than Bilderberg. For years, Alex Jones has called people crazy if they mention the issue. He's claimed that the Council for National Policy is a Democratic Party conspiracy. It's funded by the Democratic Party, and it's just a conspiracy theory that's actually fake. It's not like a real conspiracy. He claims that the Council for National Policy um, is a group that's actually a good group that's there to um, reclaim the Republican Party and keep the Republican Party conservative and on the side of liberty. And that's what the CNP claims it is. Now, Jones toes that line, but then says that the CNP was infiltrated and is now basically being nullified, and it's just, they don't really do much. They're just kind of a group. They were gonna do some good, but they got infiltrated by the Democrats, so now they really can't do anything. And that's how Alex Jones played it off, and that's how for years he played it off that way. And then Joel Skousen helped him with that, very much so recently. And then just very even more recently, finally, he was forced to address it on a show, because he had Charlotte Iserbyt was on his show, and she wanted to get into the CNP, so Jones has her up, and she gets into the CNP, breaks some stuff down. And just even when Jones in the beginning of the show is saying that he's going to have Charlotte Iserbyt on to discuss the CNP, when he says the words CNP, just the way that he says it, and you listen to his voice and you watch the expression on his face, so you can see the video in the YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Derek in the Midwest. Title of the video is Alex Jones Kills His Own Credibility with the CNP Issue. And part one, you'll see a clip when when he says CNP, you can just tell that he's extremely uncomfortable and he doesn't, want to discuss it at all. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm